With it being 5 o'clock, I call the meeting to order, and if you take place, that'd be great.
Here. Dylan.
Here.
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 Nancy. Nancy.
Here.
Here.
Fox.
Give me a moment or so to review meeting minutes from both July 15th and August 1st. I'll take a motion to approve if there are no changes. We don't have to. Motion to approve those, do we have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Let's talk about some discussion items. Let's go Southbridge Park. Adam, do you want to lead this? Max, would you like to lead this? Or?
So, yeah, we don't really have a, yeah, I think, so in your packet, we hand out here a few pieces of information, including a staff report that was put together by Max and myself. We did have input from Ashton from the sideline as well, so she's, her influences in this discussion and recommendation. So about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, the city received submissions for request for proposal that was issued on July 11th. The idea being that companies submit a general packet of information and design of a playground for Southbridge Park to complement the project that is being planned there for next year, and stay within a total budget of $200,000, right? And ultimately, those were all shared with the committee. There's also kind of a rubric put together just to help kind of look at some of the things that were in the RFP and in ways to design, ways some of the things that were more important. But ultimately, you use that, whatever, and we received 4 proposals from CRS Park and Play Structures. So, just to be clear, the general idea here is there's a sales company that helps with sales and installation, and then there's the manufacturer, so CRS is Park and Play Structures, Urban Leisure is Landscape Structures, and Recreation, Work, and MWP is Game Time. So, as you can see, just in summary, they all submitted right around or under the $200,000 mark. There were certain things put in that you can see, each one. And tonight, while there are designs in front of you and concepts, you don't have to select, this is what we want, right? What we're really trying to narrow down and select is who we want to work with. Because I think what we can probably all agree is that there might be a design you really like, and then they have the other design as option 2, and you're like, well, I like that too. And can you eliminate this and add that and it still be, right? So we're really looking for just picking who we want to work with, okay? That's really what we're trying to do. Obviously, what they've submitted plays a factor into all of that. And we can sort of just go through the information and the overall submissions from each one. There can be I like that one, it's totally open to you. You just say, which one did you like? I don't really, this is a lot to process, right? Okay, because there's 8 different playgrounds staring you at the time.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a lot. I definitely, like, kind of talked to these league and, the league recreation and just their professional presentations, everybody's prices are about the same, everybody's warranties are pretty close to each other as well, so, those are my top two.
You see that for recommendation as well.
Those were the 2 that stood out, and we can focus on those 2, and I think some of the reasons why, and just so you kind of understand, when we did this, some of the logic behind some of the decisions and the overall design. If you go to like the first Lee Recreation one, you can see that there are different play areas for, you know, certain age groups, and they have a spinning mechanism or a spinning, if you go to the next one, it's very different, okay? Because general design is you either go up or up because of cost. And to get the inclusive ramp as an option 1, you go up, but you can't get all the way up. When you go with something like this, you lose the ramp, but you get more vertical, you know, higher slides, probably a larger range of kids from an age group perspective. So while this looks less inclusive or accessible, there are accessible features and it remains ADA compliant. So from a very basic perspective, so steps and stairs and things like that are compliant with the required codes. It's just not a ramp, right? So, you know, some of these elements you can see as well. Lee Recreation and Burke. Burke is manufactured in Fond du Lac, so they are local. They did the park at Riggs. So the one concern I think when you review the staff is trying to diversify playgrounds as well. So we're not just having the same features in every park. And so you know that these are very solid options. It's just if we pick Lee and Burke, we need to be conscious that every playground that is designed by them, you can tell, right? They look the same from community to community. You can see sorry, go ahead.
What I liked with the Herbert one here is I like the combination of memberships and open place. Because it allows for a larger play area for about the same amount of dollars for one. And then it just makes it feel a little more open, and I feel like Selfridge is an open park. You know what I mean? And I know it's just a tiny little playground, you know, like this just feels a little wider. If that makes sense.
Can you remind me, when they submitted their designs, did the companies know exactly, did Burke know exactly that this was forwarded and, okay.
Yeah, in the email one, they actually even have like overlay satellite image of where it was.
I get that, but I was a little bit confused if the designer, if like the company, why do I say that? Because the question of, for Burke, making sure we have different designs, we are sure that Lee they worked with Burke, and so we made sure that they knew that it was they were offering different amenities, knowing what was in Ripon. All right.
I think what it comes down to is they have their stock item, right? And if it's a spinning thing like this, they only make 1 or 2 spinning things. And to fit within the budget, they don't have another option, so if they place it in there, it looks the same as every other one that's placed in it, it's the same bottle. That doesn't mean you have to put it in there. That's where this becomes okay, what can we look in their catalog and say, maybe we don't want that, we want something else.
And because the reason I bring that up is, I've been to Playmore Park in Fond that Burke did, and also there's a reason I would chose Burke because of the customer service they're known for being local, when I actually was at the grand opening in Fond du Lac, and, you had company representatives, the community came out. I mean, there was that sense of local pride, community, that is something that I don't know if the others can bring to the table. So I do bring it up, but I understand having that diversity in our parks.
I thought it was the new park that is at, at Riggs, and the office in a group specifically designed for 5 through 12, all inclusive. We want to be all inclusive, we understand that. But I think the younger clientele, that 2 to 5 group, that's kind of like, there's nothing for them. They certainly can try, but not to be able to, but, I think that younger age group, I think one of the options would have 2 different play sets, like one at 5, 12.
Actually, what happened?
Yeah, right, and one that's a smaller feature for the 2 5 as well. That's how I like the placement of that.
It's like, I didn't like look through the whole product list, but it looks like this is like a little bit more sparse. The same amount of activities and things.
It is actually, yeah, I actually remember going through that list, but they do all have like a similar number of items to do, it's just, it's a little more spread out in this design, because you don't have to have it all on one place. One place is expensive, so they're covering less ground, whereas this one is kind of spread out.
We were trying to make sure we were going to do part of the things everywhere, so we didn't have to do with wood chips.
So
Okay.
so we can talk about that too. There's a couple different concepts, port in place and then port in place pathways, which are basically making sure there are pathways of the rubber to the certain areas and then having wood chips. You can also put port in place in later if you can't afford to do it all at once. Because the Gerber, if you look at Gerber, this one right here, it's 250,000 in port in place the entire thing, right? So there's to do it all, because it is far bigger, they're spreading it out, right? There's certainly benefits to port in place. There's certainly, it's nicer if you've been to Grace, you can kind of see the product and how it functions. There's also the downside of cost. And there's warranty information with it, you will have to eventually will wear down. You could probably condense some of this down.
Shrink it down to be 200.
Yeah, and I think you can move somebody out of it, swings and things may be more appropriate to be off of the port in place, because even just being at rigs, the swings, you can't, as an older kid, swing on them because it's too close to the port in place and you don't get the dip with the swing.
Yeah.
So you can only have like this long.
That's why I kind of like the combo of, I guess it doesn't necessarily have wood chips on this one.
All of it is negotiable.
Yeah.
So I mean, and just to take when Gerber came out, in Gerber's presentation, if you went through it all, Gerber's presentation was light years, right? Ahead of anybody else's submission. They're also the most expensive. But one point I will make about Gerber is they rep landscape structures. All of our stuff is landscape structures. All of it looks the same, right? You could take a slide from Murray Park and put it in Barlow Park today, right? Same with Southbridge. They made a very good point in that they have not had to replace a single piece of equipment in Ripon since 1996 and 1997 when these were installed. The differentiating factor in reviewing these at a staff level and summarizing it all were some of the warranties and the customer service there. Gerber's been around for this long. They put these ones in. Lee and Burke are literally Fond du Lac. So, and their warranties are not necessarily the same, but they're higher standard than the others. What Gerber did in this design in particular was listen to kind of the feedback when we talked to them about, we want an area for littles and bigs. We want an area with swings, because swings still are huge.
Yeah.
Kids use swings.
And I guess I don't know, isn't that what that park is known for right now, with that big, if you look at all of our parks, it has one of those robust, a swing set, doesn't it?
It has, I believe, at least 4 to 6 swings, and swing sets or whatever, right? It's got that in there. All of our parks have swing sets. These are a nicer model and a little more robust, and it doesn't mean that we can't shrink it down if we need to do it within budget. You can see in here too, they have your traditional swings, they have your baby swings to the left, and then they have kind of the more inclusive swing that's kind of a seat. You kind of have to have it all nowadays. It's just so this, from a play perspective, pretty much hits everything that from little stuff to bigs. The current play feature in Selfridge is similar to this, meaning there's a bigger play feature for older kids, and then there's a littles section. If you go to their second option, again you can see that it's very different because it goes out, because it has the ramp. But you may say, well, I'd rather have a little igloo-looking thing over the spinning thing, or so those are the details we kind of have to work through specifically if we pick one to kind of say, what does it look like this? So, and I don't want to discredit the other two, and I think it's worth just looking at them, as much as it's worth CRS. They had some really unique, nice features from like more music and some of their even the simple little balance beam thing is
I actually like their option too. The 1 or 2
Yeah.
option was actually kind of high.
and they were, and then this one, the zip line thing is cool, but personally, I just think it's better to offer more swings than just one. And then this one had that, the unique kind of tree leaf, it's kind of like bells. So and they had some really nice things. It's just from a longevity perspective and a warranty perspective, it just didn't match up. And then the last one with game time, they had some cool features of pour in place to make it look like a lily pad. And those are things we can talk about doing if because the cost is the cost. But we didn't see the value come out as much. And they were obviously the cheapest, but in terms of warranty and whatnot, I think just what Gerber and we had to offer, just kind of swayed their way in the staff's minds. And this one here, this was kind of a similar concept of having a littles and a bigs. So not a bad design, but our recommendation is to focus on the other two. So yeah, that's where we're at.
I really like, I don't know how your kids feel about it, but I like the shades. I don't know if the other options
Gerber
have.
option 1 is the.
Yeah. Hot this summer and just lay it around, so it's awesome like that.
Gerber option 1, and then the second we got with the treehouse looking one from Lee. He said that one was fun too, or he actually said that one would fit better at Sarasota. I was like, oh.
Probably join the board.
Yeah. Question about Gerber. I also really like it too. I think I want to think about like, what are things that are used there, we want to maintain still, and I go back to the swings that we just talked about too. But I don't see as many benches on this one. We could also, the city, I mean, also add benches
Yeah.
there too? Okay.
I think they might have added,
Yeah, they don't, you can't really see them in that, I mean, this bit, you can see the point here.
they all did, yeah, we just said throw a couple benches in. Those can be added and subtracted really easily. They all sell benches with their product line, so. The shade feature, yes, and Southbridge previously had a tree
Yeah,
planted right in the middle of the park.
yeah.
And we just took it down this year. We wouldn't advise putting a tree in the middle of the park now. Particularly.
But it was against the shade.
It was, and then instead of dying and falling.
At one time it was pretty.
So, in that area in particular, to get that shade again, it's gonna be years.
Yeah.
Because we have to replant trees.
Yeah. Like I said, my kid looked at this really liked the options. Having watched them play in parks, you know, that the ability to run from one object to the next seems really important for kids.
Yeah, there, our options don't come with like shade options, you know, like.
Theoretically, you could add it and design it out a little differently. It's not that it's unique to anybody can do it, it's just some of the, some of these are kind of stock designs, right? That they use a part that fit here within the cost. Some of these are more custom, where they're like, okay, we're gonna put this here, add this, and leave that, right? You can pretty much take a base and add things to it. They sell shape features as well. You can do independent shape features. It's gonna be more costly. But they have other options, probably, like we have other options with similar, and this is where, if the effort was made to come and talk to us, there was communication, and if you followed that or listened, you probably heard nuggets that would be like, yeah, shaping in this one tree here is probably a good idea, right? So, there were people in the group that I felt took more effort in putting together a proposal. But I think everybody did a fantastic job. I mean, there are solid options here and concepts that absolutely met what we need within a budget. Anything next?
Actually, yes. I'd say just one point, I guess, when I first saw the shade structures, I think it is a good amenity to have, especially during the summer months, but to consider would be during winter, when the snow fall, how would that affect, when the snow on top of it, I don't know if it would slide off easily or not, but if that would possibly damage it over years.
Those are fabric.
I would
Yeah.
say,
That's what I'm wondering as well.
Just be something that we have to remove.
Yeah, as I say.
For winter then.
Yeah, we would have to work through that with them. I don't know the answer to that. But I think a lot of them stay home.
I do.
I mean, if they're designed to be out, then, I mean, all of these are Midwest companies, too, we're not dealing with like, some company from Florida that doesn't know how to build that doesn't know about snow, so.
Yeah. Uniform, but maybe interested in asking.
Never pay attention.
But I like that, maybe the first place in the middle.
Yeah, but I think someone wants it, I'm gosh, it's not too much.
And
Maybe so.
I know I've been to one, and it's like that.
you just, if you looked at, like, Lee obviously has done pretty much everything in Fond du Lac. They did, they teach partners and they've done a lot. And if you saw in Gerber's proposal, they've done a lot as well in the area. They did stair parking in Plymouth and Sheboygan, Evergreen Park. And some of those play structures are some of the nicest play structures in the community. So I don't think you can go wrong at all with either.
Yeah, they're both like great examples. In fact, our stuff's still standing tall, and it's the same stone that Gerber has. It's 7 point probably. Gerber's number one. But I've got Gerber on at the top of my list.
Play options that he is suggesting.
I do too,
But
but I'm sure that we could get some similar options as well.
the fact that here, which is kind of close by now, is already.
That was my thought too, and my son actually brought that up as well, is that we don't, doesn't mean it all be put in place, but if we don't put in place it over there. Not, like, some stuff, not everything is meant for, I think we're doing myself all the time, so.
I would think Gerber golf course.
I mean, I wouldn't mind like adding some more court in, but I kind of, like you said, under the swings, perfect spot for some pitches at the bottom of the slide.
They have those bands.
You know what?
We can,
We just put it in, I mean,
the
10 years
mats,
now.
the mats actually are working really well, so they're still a dip,
Yeah,
but it doesn't like get to grass or to dirt, so
Yeah.
it just protects that.
I like this combination of,
But like you said, you could create that footprint in on all B&B, right, too, right? If you need
yeah,
to mitigate it, that budge.
yeah.
They do
have-
that budget
they-
area.
they work for it.
Yeah, and it doesn't mean too that we can't shrink things or add things later, so we can say, okay, just, we're gonna make this, we're gonna make it smaller, or, yeah, we can put the swing set here, it swings outside of the open place area.
So, yeah, just
Limit this.
just the special needs swings on the one end of it, like they did, need to be in a 100-point place and,
Because the reality is, if we went with like we, right, and we said, well, we want to put swings in, okay, well, then maybe we're not taking quarter place in the whole thing, but then we're going to have those, or swings, and so there's, if you go to.
I like the going motion because just the ability to make a bigger play area versus the all court in place. All of them that I've been to besides like Glenmore and Oshkosh, because they had ginormous budget to work with. All of them feel very small and very closed in. It doesn't, like it's a great place, and I like them, but they all feel really small, and Selfridge feels like a big part to me. And I just want it to stay feeling like a big part,
You have a good point, like seeing kids running to different areas.
Yeah,
Just having that.
versus just being so close to everything, So we move.
Kids. I think it's hard when, you have 12-year-old who wants to play and then there's a 2-year-old who wants to play, and you're a parent, like, oh my God, where's the kid? I don't know, to me, I don't know.
I get that, but that's why we have a lot of parts and we have more parts than we do here, so.
And I'll just make, like, so Gerber too, when we discussed with them, they have an option of a community install, where they just have a bunch of people guiding the install, but the community installs it, and they just help. And I can save money, and I think there's a fantastic opportunity for us to take advantage of that and save some money. I sure all of the installers will so much allow that to happen, but they specifically were like, that's something we have done in the past, just to pick up that. Because really, when you look at the budget, the actual components are not that. Do you think that $200,000 the playground is like, the massive piece of it, and it's about 50%. It's the port in place and the install that drives up the cost.
So we want to make it clear to use like that excavation and removal and
So I see here that it says 41,000 for river going option 1 for professional install. And then for leading recreation, there's some leading install is 29,000. Save up with that, and say if we did do a community install, we would possibly get close to that number. So,
Do they get a sense as to what the discount would be for community install?
Not necessarily, but we can work that through them. Obviously, we're not gonna make people tackle. So.
Right, so we have a combination of community and public works.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's still labor, with some community labor.
you're probably looking at a few $1,000s, right? The other thing with Gerber and you put it out there, we're gonna save half of it because we can literally use the slide and slide at any of the parts we can make very interchangeable. So there is some, there is
same exact parts that
they are, and we could theoretically redo an entire park based on just replacing, it's pretty easy, pieces all.
That is a good idea.
So,
Do you have to look at the fact that we think that this park may get significant increase in usage due to what is on this one? And will that? No, I'm just talking about the amount of people
I
that
don't
are
know, in
using
terms of
that.
there being a certain age group, but if you're supposed to go and you have a bigger. Right, yeah, it's all.
Everybody's trying to guess, right?
there's only so much space we want to commit to the playground area. And ultimately, I think all these options are similar to what is existing. I didn't look at that detail into how many kids can play at each one of these parks, but it's way more than whatever. And there's no doubt that over time we can add pieces, right? Little writing things and springy things and do kind of what we've done, but make sure that it fits and doesn't look funny.
That's another thing that I like about the more, a little bit more spread out design and then not fully poured in place, where it does leave a little more option to add something later. I also just feel like it will fit, being a little bit more spread out fits more with the nature of pathways and walkways and community landings and things like that. Versus a small concentrated.
I have to say that Gerber and the too, I don't like this one as much, but I'm so interested in this like half play, half picnic area. This little, it's like a dinner table in the middle of a playground.
It's
It's
a
sweet.
Wheelchair.
it's a giant wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, it's like
It's
a,
a chocolate thing. Similar to the one there's one until they get one in, they're pretty
but it
small.
looks like I'm gonna picnic there.
It does,
It is like a table.
Like a tic-tac-toe board on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
There's even that's.
yeah, I think it is a table to,
I would say if I can remember correctly, like on the little bubble pop-ups that they had for the presentation, it was like nature facts type deal, animal tracks and that sort of deal as far as what was on that table.
Okay, things in that.
I have a question. Looking back, a long time before this got created, Weren't we gonna ask the Boys and Girls Club about options of what they wanted to, they have some input out there? What are we looking at?
No, not necessarily, I think,
You want to help?
I think that, yeah.
Yeah, that's last year.
It would be, I think where we ask them for help is in its help. I think that's where, we can get them to help out with that and put some bodies to help. This is, while that's important and it's gonna be there, this is for the entire community and they would probably love a playground twice as big, but then, so we can certainly approach that, but on it,
Just enough,
I don't get the sense that there's, but I can share with them the concepts if we get one or, with their feedback on
Since we're $1,600 away from curb option number one of the 200,000. Is there something we can get extra for the $1,600? Because I'm sure we're never gonna get $200,000, Right, so we might as well take advantage of the $4
Just, that's the extra that.
Right, or replacement shades or something like that, that we look at. Yeah, maybe it's something we want to take a look at.
No, today, we are just assigning the company.
That would be, I think, the easiest, if you have one that you're like, this is kind of where we want to go with it from a design perspective. If you say, well, no, this is what we want, obviously, just to say this is what we want. But I think there needs to be some discussion with who's ever selected to kind of narrow this in, right? And negotiate how we're going to do this. There may be things that we have to eliminate or we have to, order when we have to order, on and on and on. So there's a few things we have to weed through. Because this is their creativity and what they have just come up with their designers and professionals. What I would probably do next is say, okay, is there any feedback from the design you want to see, or a mashup of the two, or something, or you want to say, let's spend a little less money, what happens when you eliminate this, and then probably bring them in to help kind of just workshop the design, finalize it, and then basically finalize the design, and go forward with it, and have it placed in next year's budget planning and whatnot. So while these have not been put out in the public domain because we're not, this may not look anything like what's out there.
Right. So we're picking company and then we're designing the details.
I think that makes sense.
Nothing to be set in stone.
Yeah. If you'd rather have a igloo versus a spinning thing, those are all things that can pretty much get popped in.
First further options on myself.
So,
Me as well.
Totally.
motion for, to go with the company of Gerber and, modify and perfect option number one.
Okay, have a motion.
Second.
Second, anybody further discussion?
The only thing, like I said, as I look through these, I want to check that there's enough variety of movement going on, that there's not, some of these, it seem like there's a lot of the same type of movement, body actions in terms of the physical activity that they're actually doing, that we have enough variety of these.
Gotcha.
That's the only my concern this side.
Yeah, I think once we get the chance to
But
sit down.
that's just another thing I want to make sure that it's not a lot of the same.
Any other points, in discussion?
I think I was just saying, just for public record, because this is my understanding, and what sort of what you presented from the staff, that the equipment is what we're used to in the community, there's longevity, experience with the same equipment, and the company is good to work with.
No doubt, and this is just for this park. As we look at other parks, we will do similar things. So, this doesn't tie us to further just for the long term other than this project. So we want diversity in our parks so they just don't all look the same. It's boring.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
All right. Let everybody know. Thank you.
Skate park improvements, exciting. All right, so making the drive. Multiple.
Yeah, so there's two trailers, bigger equipment than we actually thought it was from the factory, so that's actually good.
First trip we took 3 trailers, and then on the second we took 4, just to make sure we have to go back for the third time. But we got everything here safe and sound, say everything went smoothly. We met with Jason on August 12th, and we started laying out, deciding where we want these pieces and how we want to lay out design-wise. And after discussing with the director of DPW, Adam and Jason, we kind of decided to keep the existing equipment where it is, and with the main goals for the new layout being maximizing the use of the space, providing features for varying levels and ages, while also allowing for multiple users at the same time. Because the initial design that we had kind of amalgamated all of the equipment into 3 separate pieces, whereas now we want to keep it to where it's the 3 existing pieces of equipment with the ramps and the rail system in the center, and then 2 ramps on either side, then with the floor plane that leads into the ramp, and then the spine. Sorry for the hand gesture, but it's say,
Multiple ways, the pieces that they had, the pictures that we got, was actually cooler stuff than what it looked like. Friend of mine that I had come down from Athens was pro street mountain bike rider back in the early 2000s. He's like a year older than I am now, so he's not but he understands how grants should be put together and a good layout and he actually talked to other people that have written it down in Zion and asked them, what changes they would make. And so we're kind of putting the pieces together and to make this cool center piece and then the ramps on the other end to get back and forth to it. We originally thought of moving the other pieces and creating a larger monster. But then Adam, the pieces are all movable and whatnot easily, so we'll leave them there for now. And if the skaters, after they've been skating out for a while, say they want to move some stuff around, it's always good to take advice from who's actually using it. And if these pieces be modular the way that they are, we can move them around in the future. They're heavy, they're not easy to move, but they can be moved to weight obstacles in the future.
yeah, they say.
Is it another positive for this area that we already have a base, that we don't have to recreate in another location? Is that positive?
Sort of, just because we can start now. It's actually not a good base for skating. It's asphalt.
Are you talking about the actual surface?
Yeah, the surface that we have is not a great surface, it's asphalt. That's really old, so now it's like running around together. So it's not the greatest surface, but as an old skater, it's great. The new equipment should work in the new vaccine. Hopefully there's some life and some community together. We can actually start some small events, using more fundraisers to create some new things. So cement is the preferred surface for this skating park, not asphalt.
It's like kind of go off that as well. It's much cheaper to fill in the cracks and take out the existing leads that are in between those versus having to relay all the asphalt.
Trying to resurface the whole thing.
So we are in a better position than if we had just gotten only the 6 pieces. I would definitely say that, but as I say, in the future we can definitely make those accommodations to make it the best experience possible.
Yeah, it would be great to hold cement part in the future with some actual cement obstacles built in and continue to use whatever is still able to be used, stuff we have should last
say, as far as installation dates, the director of DPW is out on vacation this week, so I can discuss that with him next Monday as far as when we can get it all assembled and then get it installed where we need it. They said Jason and I on August 12th, we were able to spray paint where we believe would be the best location for each piece of equipment, and hopefully it'll be a seamless transition once everything is assembled together. That's the most difficult part.
Well, thanks again for all the input and that, we were found with the deal. I'm very sorry. Well, well done. So,
No, I think it'll be good, I think, thanks for, working on getting the design done, you know, but it's just. So don't go, at least wanna get it in, so, we'll try to do that ASAP, hopefully next week.
yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of good interest in it. Stewardship project update. Plan this on that?
The only real update there is we'll be working with MSA to get a scope together, to get everything designed and bid for 2025. That project is delayed because, Alliant Energy had some cleanup they were gonna do. They have scheduled that with their engineers and contractors to excavate the park, in the next probably month or so, because we have 4 trees we have to take down in the park, that are in the area that, they will be working. We'll likely close the entire park, or at least that entire north side, including the playground during that time, just to keep people out of the area. And they'll get that all done hopefully in the next month and a half. And so, and then basically, our project will go from there.
Any other questions on Selfridge Park? Okay, move on to the 2025 department budget.
So I handed out just a draft budget that was submitted by the department. As you can see, this is very early on in the budget process. I was provided in your packet when I was. It's up, yeah, not a very complex budget. You have your, and basically to be clear, we just put together Parks Rec and Senior Center is part of this as well. So you have salaries and you have increase in health insurance, and then you have just your general line items. On the back, there's a detail, sort of what program you're looking at doing your budgets, and that's pretty similar to last year as well. So not a giant operational increase, some personnel cost increases, and then some programming increases. And then in addition to that, 2025 capital requests include Selfridge Park, the trail, which we budgeted for over 2 years now, so we should be able to accommodate that, the playground, the Murray Park quad infields, and then park signage. So we want to update some of the park signage. So those are the main focuses. So looking at general budget requests for the projects of about $1.3+ million. So obviously having on Selfridge Park with that project. So that's what we're going into the budget thinking. Obviously the full-time director isn't here, but she provided input, and we'll kind of go through from there. But that is the overall agenda. Certainly any feedback or ideas, you can let me know, but kind of laid out a path and have some work ahead of us, but generally speaking, that's what we're going and requesting for parks.
Okay, some of these actually, there's fees attached to them, is that included or subtracted, or how is that?
Comes in, so a lot of the star ones.
That's what I was kind of thinking, those must have been the stuff.
And basically, we're not paying for, we're not paying for people to go to Door County. So they pay for, so we've had that conversation where, we will assume revenue on the front end, and then that is the expense on the back.
Thank you. Any further questions for anyone? Like I said, if you have any questions in the meantime or any suggestions, feel free to ask them. So, it'd be great. Park donation, I was going to see that.
Well, that's, you have one, right?
Oh, yeah, I did ask about that.
That's why you like to see
I was, that's great. I was like, man, what donation? Yeah, but, so, you just try to get clarification on some additional donations that may want to take place in Murray Park here from, family power dancing and some benches and some locations and things like that. I did not get a chance to pass along the donation information yet to them, but I will do so here to let them know that that is in place and how it should be followed along and issued. So I guess I don't have any further updates. I said right now for you. So I apologize.
Oh, no, I just reading minutes, I read them, I'm like,
Yeah, well, I think, yeah, we spoke about it, you said, yeah, it's all pretty much online, everything, so, yeah, I'll get that asked one today, so.
But if someone is listening,
Yes.
and they saw park donation on here, if someone wanted to give a donation, they contact Parking Rec or?
yeah, there's a few things online, so, we do, a bench, program, we have a food program, and then certainly in Selfridge Park, if there's somebody that wants to donate money, we certainly would, look at anything from sponsorships, naming rights, all that. So, we don't necessarily go out and solicit that overly aggressively, but, certainly willing to talk to anybody that's, donating.
Just say, adding on to that as well, there's also a adopted park policy that's available on the city website as well, to if someone would be interested in technically adopting the park and maintaining with it as far as regular maintenance or grounds keeping, that sort of stuff as well.
Or just projects or projects or whatever.
Next slide.
No, thanks. I'm sliding very over. All right, programming update.
All right, been a pretty interesting past few weeks for us. And say the first one I got for us is the Power Hour every Thursday from 5 to 6. There's been increasing in attendance, so word's getting out a little bit better as far as people attending. We'll see here in the senior activity center. And then this past week we had a guided nation walk with Professor Ben Grady that turned out pretty well. We had 3 or 4 families and about 8 kiddos out there, so it was quite a bit of fun for them. They impressed Professor Grady, so I think we're in good hands. But then starting next week, we start the 3-day-long punt pass kick for ages 3 to 5-year-olds. Look forward to that. And say also finalize details for Touch a Truck on September 14th. There will be a total of 16. I'm sorry, I didn't print off a lot of copies. I didn't want to waste ink. But say a total of 16 vehicles, and the Ripon Union Kiwanis Club has reached out to us in regards to possibly doing their pancake event on that date. So between Officer Michaels and I, we agreed that it would be something to add in. So then I started reaching out in regards to the Run Santa Run 5K. That will be on December 7th. And I have already received a $250 donation from Ripon College, which is a new sponsor for last year's event. And we should continue doing so. Then we have to sign a contract as far as our timing system for that 5K on September 13th.
Okay. Any questions for Max?
Is there any programs that you guys would be interested in, or you think could be? Oh, so sorry, I completely forgot. I reached out to SSM Health in regards to continuing the senior chair yoga that occurs at Wilmore Center. I'm still waiting on a response from them, but as far as through college and through Tracy Mathias, the Lotus Booth yoga instructor, everything's good on that end, we're just waiting to hear back from SSM, who has their committee meeting at the end of this month. Helicopter. Oh, yeah, there is a helicopter. Flight for
Like,
life.
that's something that's a truck, that's so pretty cool.
Yes. So right now, we're trying to decide if we want the helicopter to either land before the event starts or possibly land during the event, so that would be an entertainment factor. But I'm aware that it is a sensory issue for younger children or anything like that, so I would be more than happy to, what would your guys think about
It's not like loud noises.
Okay,
Long as we,
Just
long
probably-
as
wanna see it from way over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
Well, could it be where, if they arrive, let's say they don't arrive during the event, but it's the beginning, can you advertise what it will be, so if families wanted to be there?
yeah, that sounds like.
One of these, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Have an arrival time and a leaving time for.
What's cooler?
I don't know.
Because I wanna see both.
And I don't know what else we're gonna have up there, but if people have like tables and flyers and.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it might fit.
flies? I totally understand, so I'll try and get in contact with them and inform them we're leaning more towards if they could possibly land before the event start time, is say it may be not possible to land that early, and it's like, what's the exact location? They're based out of Milwaukee, I think they're flying from Hartford, and I'm not very familiar with the area, but flying from Hartford.
They're further down there. They're really come a lot.
Gotcha.
Well, I guess either way, let's say they can't come early, let's just be sure to advertise.
That they will be coming,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Once I get that information, I'll go over it, be sure to advertise that. Thank you.
We're doing fantasy football.
Yes, we are, fantasy football, we're doing a fantasy football draft night here on September 4th, day before the league's NFL starts. And then we're doing a league for a total of 8 weeks, we're not going through the whole duration of the season, just trying to get a little bit of experience with fantasy football. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Brandon, you know that.
Somebody can use.
The proxy.
With that, it can be a team with managers, it can be a parent and a child, or 2 children if they want to be on the same team co-managing with that fantasy team as well. I would think the grades that we did for that was for 5th grade, 8th grade. They say, but if someone is in 4th grade or, freshman high school, and they want to participate, I'm sure we can work something out to without them purchasing a long conference.
Speaking of the draft, I was just, playing on my calendar, and I was reminded that in April, the draft is in Wisconsin. I don't know if there's anything we should be planning around that, but that could be kind of fun.
That's wonderful.
Think about.
All right, how about the Parks and Recreation Director report?
Yes, so Thursday, September 26th is the Region 2 Parks and Recreation meeting in Little Chute as they are our region leader. And then, as in for a little bit more local news, Ripon High School Cross Country is having a cross country meet August 29th and September 21st in Barlow Park. And just as a little reference as well, I think it was September 23rd and 25th, Christ Alone Lutheran Academy was reaching out in regards to possibly using Prairie Park soccer fields. I believe that there's no reservations at that point in time, so I think it would be a great addition on to host them. We're not just gonna say that's a set off. Sponsorship for sure.
Any project updates? Where? Okay. Of course, anytime you can suggest agenda items, and hopefully remember that you do so. Otherwise, we'll kind of be play by ear for another date to get together. It seems to be working out pretty decent.
Yeah.
Obviously.
So thank you guys for responding so quickly and being available for this meeting. Really appreciate it.
If there's no further information, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I moved to adjourn.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll say.
further discussion? Didn't make sense. All in favor, say aye. Aye. You're